All right, well, good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock on August 17th, 2021, and we're here with the Kamloops Fire Center and Caribou Fire Center from BC Wildfire to provide an update of the wildfires in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District at this moment. So before we get started, I'm going to, the TNRD would like to acknowledge that we connect with many First Nations communities across our vast and beautiful regional district, and today we are located on the Kamloops to Secwepemc territory. The TNRD appreciates and treasures the partnership that we have and respect the territory and land on which we gathered today. So today we will be handing it over to the Caribou Fire Center first to give an update from the Caribou Fire Center complex. Contact information will be posted prior or after the meeting today, as the meeting's being recorded, and will be posted on our Thompson-Nicola Regional District website, as well as the Kamloops Fire Center is here to give an update on their complexes as well. You can find all our public information meetings on our YouTube page once the meetings have been completed. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to the Caribou Fire Center to provide their update today.
Thank you. My name is Jessica Mack, and I'm the Fire Information Officer for the Northeast Complex, which encompasses the Flat Lake Fire and the Young Lake Fire. So I'm just going to share the screen here. So this is the perimeter of the Flat Lake Fire. So I'm just going to start on this eastern flank here. So today we are getting some increased winds kind of out of the north and northwest. And so on this eastern flank here, I'll just zoom in a bit. Right kind of in this section right here, we do have a spot that's within the perimeter of the fire, but it is producing a little bit of smoke. We do have some helicopters that are completing bucketing action in this area right now. Up here, we are continuing to establish and widen control lines that are already in place. So along here, which is the 1100 road, we are widening this pre-existing road. We are working along here on the Helena Lake North FSR, and we're working to widen this road here as well. And then if it's safe to do so, our heavy equipment will work to tight line within this perimeter here to establish a new containment line. We have firefighters that are completing direct attack along this area here, and they're utilizing water and wet lines to do that. We have a established containment line on this western flank right here, which is previously where we had a bit of an excursion right here a couple of days ago. And so we have a containment line that has been established, and we have firefighters that are utilizing more direct methods and are establishing some water delivery systems and mopping up and patrolling up to 50 feet in this area. Over here on our most western flank, down in here, we are seeing some increased fire behavior just due to the increased winds. We are seeing gusts up to 35 to 40 today. And so heavy equipment have pulled back from this just to ensure that they remain safe. We have helicopters that are bucketing in this area to cool down the fire behavior in there. On our more southern flank here, this has remained pretty quiet over the last couple of days. We haven't seen too many smokes that have been popping up in this area, and we're continuing to monitor this through aerial assessments. I don't have the Young Lake map up here right this moment, but we did do an aerial assessment of that fire today, and it has seen a significant amount of rain yesterday. There are puddles on the roads in that area, so we did see a nice amount of rain, which was really great. We only saw a handful of smokes within the perimeter of that fire, and we do have firefighters that will be going and kind of patrolling any spots that they see within that fire today. So thank you. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks so much, Jessica. So I'm going to pass it on now to the Kamloops Fire Center. The information officer for Sparks Lake and Tremont can go. And Caribou, you're welcome to sign off. Thanks so much for that.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Erin Bull, Fire Information Officer for the Sparks Lake Complex. So today we'll be talking about the Sparks Lake Fire and the Tremont Creek Fire. So I'll just pull my screen up. Okay. Okay, so we'll start with the Sparks Fire. So our most recent size estimate is 95,360 hectares. We have 132 firefighters assigned to this fire today and 32 pieces of heavy equipment. So our main focus of this fire continues to be on the northern flank. As you can see here, we did have significant growth about 2 days ago to the northeast. The fire has reached the Jameson FSR, which is a fairly major roadway in this area here. So we have heavy equipment working to expand that road to create a fire guard and remove some of the fuel from here. Crews are engaged in direct attack in this area as well where possible. There have been a few spots that are on the northeast side of the Jameson, but crews are making good progress in engaging those. Since we did have quite some significant growth in this area, we've had personnel doing aerial assessments over the last few days. We are looking at opportunities to conduct controlled ignitions, but those are still in the assessment phase. Moving over to the west, we do still have crews actively working in the Vedette Lake area. So that is mostly direct attack from firefighters, and they have had a lot of support with helicopters bucketing. They're making very good progress in that area as well. And our last focus area would be over in the High Hume FSR area here. Similar, we did have some escapes that have jumped over the guard, but have remained small. And again, our crews are making good progress with those. So we do have crews engaged in direct attack, and heavy equipment is working there as well. Cooler temperatures up there today. I believe 8 degrees was the lowest temperature this morning that we have on this northern part here at some of the higher elevations. And we did receive some rain there as well, about 10 mils, I think, is what we got at our range, our rain gauge up there. So fire activity is a bit more subdued today than it has been in recent days, and that gives us a great opportunity to stick to our current objectives, but also reassess and plan ahead. So that's basically all we have for Sparks. So we'll move on to the Tremont Creek Fire. So the Tremont Fire is now at 63,699 hectares. We have 66 firefighters and 37 pieces of heavy equipment working on that fire today. I should say that we have about 17 helicopters that are shared throughout the complex. So those can be either working on Sparks or Tremont on different days, depending on where they're needed or where they'll have the most successful objectives. And we have about 104 structure protection personnel that are also shared within the complex. So our focus has been on the Cherry Creek area in recent days. Well, one of our focuses. So we do have heavy equipment that is working to establish a machine guard from this area here, working off of a road, and it is connecting to a few lakes in here. So equipment has been doing that for the past few days, and things are coming along quite nicely. So they'll continue working on that guard right here, which would be between the community of Cherry Creek and the fire perimeter. There also is some heavy equipment working on another fire guard in this area. Down the Tranquille Lake FSR, we have crews engaging in direct attack where that's possible. And we do have a number of crews still working in the Pasco and Face Lakes area, as well as we have crews going into Dominic Lake today. So they will also be engaging in direct attack where possible. We have had a lot of helicopter support in recent days. We do still have a presence in the Tonquah and Layton lakes. So structure protection in those areas is continually being assessed, and at a number of lakes in this area here. So that includes Pasca, Derry, Dominic lakes. We're looking in those areas now. We did receive a good amount of precipitation, so between 11 and 27 mils on various areas of the Tremont Fire. So we are again seeing decreased fire activity today. So while we're sticking to our objectives, again, giving us the opportunity, now that we're not dealing with such quick growth, to assess and do some forward planning. We still do have crews, of course, in the Logan Lake area. Structure protection is still maintaining a presence there. There were 2 controlled ignitions, one on the east side of Logan Lake and one on the west side. They used Highway 97 C and D as control lines for these ignitions, and both went very well. So we have crews engaged in mop-up activities on both the east and west sides of Logan Lake, and they will continue to do that. We're looking at getting some thermal scans done in that area so that the crews can seek and destroy any hotspots that are found. Yeah, and I think that's everything for the Tremont Creek fire. So I'll turn it back to you. Thanks.
Right, thanks so much for the update. So White Rock Lake wildfire is next.
Hi everyone, yeah, it's Forest Tower Information Officer with White Rock Lake Fire. I will also share my screen one sec here. So I'm just going to go off of the dashboard. It's just a bit easier to see than I only have a smaller version of the public map, but I can zoom in on this one a little bit easier. So I'll start with the zoomed out version. So to start at a higher level before I dive into specifics of where we're working, a couple nights ago, August 15th, we had some very significant growth on the east side of the fire. So the fire is down almost to Okanagan Lake on most of this east flank. This perimeter, it still doesn't reflect all of the growth. There's still a few kind of minor tracks that we need to get in from the field. They've just been, as you can imagine, quite busy. But with this downturn in weather and some of the precipitation that was received, they'll have a chance to kind of get some of those finer detailed tracks. And so we should have a very detailed perimeter today or tomorrow on exactly where the perimeter is. So like I said, quite significant growth. It was extreme fire behavior overnight and into the morning. Kind of the height of fire activity started at 11:30 p.m. and went basically until 5-6 a.m. the next morning. So it was quite a significant wind event that drove the fire basically due east. And then, so we were getting straight westerlies with this cold front pretty much throughout the entire day. And then there was a bit of a lake effect where it was shooting almost straight, the wind was going almost straight north. So it kind of pushed it up into this direction. And it spotted from, I'll zoom in here. So this is 6 Mile Creek, kind of where I think the cursor is shown on the screen. So for those familiar with the area anyway, 6 Mile Creek, it spotted from west, kind of southwest of 6 Mile Creek. It spotted around 2.5 or 3 kilometers ahead of itself during that sort of really intense fire behavior, which is anyone familiar with fire behavior, that is extreme spotting and extreme fire behavior. Normally we've gone with fires don't spot longer than 2 kilometers ahead of themselves in BC, but our fire behavior analyst was sitting right in 6 Mile and watched it spot across him into this kind of area to the east of 6 Mile Creek. So it was a very significant fire and wind event. And since then, we've obviously had some rain and cooler temperatures that have helped really diminish fire behavior. So it went from one extreme to the other almost. So we've had, at this point, we have 284 firefighters on the entire fire now. We had a bunch from Quebec show up and are working all along kind of West Side Road area now. So a lot of our focus at this point is on that eastern flank. We have a lot of our unit crews and the Quebec crews working in behind communities here, strengthening guard, building new guard where the fire went over our existing machine guards. And so that's a huge emphasis right now for them, is just to make sure that all of the fire is basically extinguished in and around any community areas here. So with the help of this weather, they're feeling confident that by the end of day today, they'll have kind of containment in behind communities where the fire perimeter is here on the east side. It'll still be actively burning within the fire's perimeter, obviously for some time. This is a very large wildfire, and so to put every square kilometer of it out, what will happen is we'll get into fall and winter, and sort of the natural process of wildfires will take over from there. But in and around communities and structures, high priority on the east side. We also have 16 helicopters still focused solely on this, and of those 7 are heavy helicopters, heavy lift. So if anyone's gone on the Wildfire Note page, you'll kind of see the profile of Lucille, who's the sky crane. It's quite an impressive helicopter. And then we also have 4 K-Mobs, which are Russian heavy lift helicopters, and then a few other Sikorskys that are kind of engaging in bucketing. At this point, from when I last checked, they're still kind of working in this area on the east side, as that's kind of where there's still existing fire activity. And then we also have 60 pieces of heavy equipment. They are currently working kind of tightlining this southern perimeter where it went past existing machine guards. So most of this kind of southwest line held. There was definitely some growth on the southeast part, and so machines are tightlining in there. So we're working right up against the fire perimeter wherever it passed existing guards. And then the other part that they're doing is they are connecting up Irish Creek. So on the sort of private property, off of the private properties on Crown land, putting machine guard in and around, in behind these properties that extend kind of northwards by Irish Creek. And then they will be connecting yeah, that's the right place. So they'll be kind of connecting up and around to these sort of power lines and this big kind of main critical infrastructure line that runs sort of in a, let's say, northeast direction. So they're going to cut across all of this existing timber using some existing roads. We've had line locators go in and find us a line to put machine guard. So they'll be connecting from the tip of this machine guard that we put in here and then all the way across. And that's sort of where they'll be having machine guard and then working sort of closer in the perimeter wherever they can with crews when you get to that point. But currently we're really focused on getting containment in and around communities and existing sort of control lines here. So for the rest of the fire, sort of we'll maybe chop this fire in half, maybe by these 2 fingers here. So from here east, there's definitely some fire activity still. It is very diminished with the rain and the downturn in temperature, et cetera, increased relative humidity. And then up in this area, so kind of the private FSR from the Douglas Lake and the private, up in here is very minimal fire activity. Up in sort of Monty Lake, Paxton Valley area, it's in mop-up and patrol at this point. There will be crews, in and around this area just to make sure that there isn't any chance of any more growth. And so we will have a maintained heightened presence in this area as well. So we've moved some crews over to this east side. In addition, we've got an additional crews from Quebec, but the crews and sort of we've also hired some of the local contractors in this area. So they'll still be in this area in and around all of this development here, just to make sure that as we dry out, if there's no increased precipitation, that nothing else kind of challenges these guards. So that will be sort of the plan going forward, is to just kind of keep a mop-up patrol, working tight lining along this side with machine guard where they need to, if it went past any guard. And then from this eastern half, it's working on machine guard and then in and around these communities. We still have 143 structure protection personnel and the same amount sort of engines. I think we have 20 engines and 17 tenders, 16 utility trucks. So there's a lot of structure protection that is still working in and around this area and has been for the last few weeks. So going forward, it looks like we're probably going to be in the process of looking at existing evacuation alerts and orders and changing those, or at least putting the recommendation into the appropriate local authority to start looking at changing those with the significant work that's gone in from Wildfire and contractors and everyone involved. We're feeling pretty confident in some areas on this fire that we can put in those recommendations. So just something to definitely pay attention to over the next few days. That would be something where we're starting that process internally from an incident management team perspective at BC Wildfire to take a look at where it makes sense that we can start putting those changes in, and then we will be sending off those recommendations whenever we're able to do so over the next, let's say, week to those appropriate local authorities. So just pay attention to whatever sort of communication method. I know most local authorities have a pretty good website at this point and are pretty good at getting those notices out quickly. So I will leave it at that. I can stick on the line for a bit. I didn't see if there's any questions specifically to me before I hopped on, but I will stay on the line. So if it's TNRD info person, I'll pass it to you, and I will be available for a bit if there's anything else I can speak to.
Thanks, Forrest. I'm going to pass it over now to the Lytton Complex. Is anyone from BC Wildfire here with the Lytton Complex? And if you're talking, you might be on mute. July Mountain.
Hi, it's Noelle from the Fire Center. So July Mountain, I'm not going to be fancy like the rest of my colleagues because we've just recently got a perimeter and a map for July Mountain. So as everyone knows, we had the Brook Creek fire start this weekend or this past weekend. And during the weekend, Brook Creek merged with July Mountain, resulting in the closure of the Coquihalla Freeway highway. It has since been reopened probably 2 hours ago, give or take. However, it is still, it's only open for essential travel. So keep that in mind if planning a route to or from the interior. Currently, with the merging of the two fires, it now sits around just shy of 21,000 hectares. It went as far north as Kingsville, Cane Valley area. We currently have evacuation orders and alerts on for the area. And that is about what I know for the July Mountain.
All right, thanks, Noelle. Is there anyone else from BC Wildfire who has any additional information, or if Lytton Complex is here? Okay, it doesn't look like there's any additional questions in the chat. We did get a handful of general questions through our public question form on the Thompson-Nicola Regional District's website. However, what we'll be doing for the questions that were submitted is reaching out directly, as they're not necessarily questions we can answer today. Directly as a whole, so we'll be reaching out directly to those people who reached out with questions. We do have a question in the chat regarding the rain and whether it helped the Lytton fire. However, we don't have the Lytton Complex on today with BC Wildfire, so what I would suggest for that question is to tune in the next few days. On our next public information meeting, we'll be able to give an update on that. As of today, we haven't received any recommendations from BC Wildfire with regards to changing any orders or alerts for the Lytton Complex, so I can provide that. Yeah, so we will be reaching out to the Lytton complex to make sure they're here for the next meeting. So we'll continue on. So I will pull up our interactive dashboard, our Thompson-Nicola Regional District interactive dashboard. Thank you, BC Wildfire. You're free to go if you have any questions. We have one question here: if White Rock is still available. What was there a size on the White Rock Lake fire if you're still around? If not, what we can do is we'll link to the resources on the BC Wildfire page.
Yeah, yep, it's
Okay.
Forest Tower. Yeah, so updated size is 78,190 hectares. It most likely will be slightly larger than that. Like I said, we have to kind of get that fine detail, but not much more of a significant increase. I can just quickly speak. I know I'm not on the Lytton Fire as an information officer, but just looking at the information that I can find, kind of their team is saying that yes, the rain, you know, as it will help all of our fires in the area that did receive rain. So they're reporting that there's sort of minimal fire activity on the Lytton Creek fire. And so their thing is that there might be some mudslides along Highway 1 between Cache Creek and Lytton. So that's, you know, something that's a challenge when there's ever a large fire, is that any sort of rain can create some instability in any slopes. And so that's just something that they have. And then I will also just say, for people that have specific questions, the Wildfire of Note page for Lytton Creek and the other fires in the Lytton complex, there is an information officer assigned. So I'm not sure if they're just busy with something else, but regardless, there is a phone number and an email there. So for anyone with specific questions, you can definitely, you know, reach out to that information officer directly, and they will be able to help out with any of those questions. And I will just pass it back to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Forrest. Thanks for that impromptu update. We're getting some questions in the chat just regards to, you know, specific information about fires and general information for the public. So again, we definitely hold these meetings on a regular basis for information for the public. However, it is definitely a moving situation. So like Forrest said, referencing the BC Wildfire Fires of Note page is a really great resources, as a lot of this information and the maps are available on there. Forrest, we have one more question. Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I was just going to type in the chat, but I'll just answer verbally. Yeah.
Sure.
So the question was just around, is there a reasonable guard protecting Westwold and Falkland and on east from the two fingers extending north from Ingram Creek? So yes, up on that kind of finger by Monty Paxton area, there are guards around it all, and it's in basically mop up and patrol. So that kind of entire finger by Highway 97 is, you know, I won't call it extinguished, but it's being held in that they don't expect any further growth outside of the current fire perimeter. And then those two fingers from Ingram Creek area as well, they are basically very minimal fire activity. However, they did have some activity, more increased activity a couple of nights ago when we had that significant wind event. There was a bit of growth in the Ingram Creek area where we didn't see almost any growth in the Monty Lake Paxton area. So they will have to put in a little bit more work in terms of getting some, they might have to adjust their guards down in the Ingram, but it wasn't any significant growth, but there was a little bit of more activity. So up in Monty Lake Paxton, there is very minimal wildfire risk of it moving, you know, anywhere closer towards Falkland or Westwold, or even in a north direction. So we'll just keep going with the updates in terms of the Wildfire of Note until there's another call of these. But like I said, we're working internally to kind of start the process for getting alerts and orders adjusted to the threat of wildfire. And so that will, you know, just be something to pay attention to your local authorities' method of communication, and we will be working on that over the next few days.
Thanks, Forrest. Yeah, we're definitely getting a lot of questions. Is Noel still on? Okay, so for the questions about the Merritt's area, what I would suggest for you, again, there's resources on the BC Wildfire page, Fires of Note page. So if you're looking for that, they also have an interactive dashboard, as I believe Forrest mentioned, but it's definitely on there. So what I would suggest for people wondering around more information on the fire perimeter and BC wildfire resources, definitely referencing their fires of note page and their interactive dashboard. Yeah, so again, with Lytton Creek Fire, as we didn't have representation today, but we definitely organize this every few days. So we'll ensure that they're on next time. But again, going on to the BC Wildfire Fires of Note page and looking on the Lytton Creek Fire, you'll get the fire map as well as that information. So we're going to actually keep moving on. There's definitely some really great questions in the chat here. Any additional person coming? Yeah, so we definitely try to keep all the information as up to date as possible. I know there's a lot of questions with regards to travel around the province. So Drive BC is your best bet for getting the information with regards to the availability of traveling throughout the roads, as well as road closures and conditions. So please reference Drive BC for any information in regards to traveling across BC. We'll definitely ensure that the Lytton Creek Fire Complex is on next time so we can provide a more thorough update for the group. We'll also include their contact if there's any specific questions, as again, as Forrest mentioned, there's an information officer assigned for each complex. So we will absolutely provide that once we post this recorded meeting for your reference. There also was a question with regards to hay. If you're in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, what I suggest is contacting our EOC. As of right now, we can connect you with our operations team if you have any questions about hay, or if you are a rancher or livestock. So please reach out to our Emergency Operations Center. We'll be able to answer that question. Yeah, so there's questions with regards to alerts and orders and how those decisions are made with regards to fire perimeter and when they're close to communities. So with that, how that works is essentially the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, the TNRD, we take recommendations from BC Wildfire based off of the fire behavior, many different resources on there. So again, BC Wildfire provides recommendations to the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, TNRD, based off of when to issue an order, when to issue an alert, when to rescind down from an alert to an order or to an all clear. So that's how those decisions are made. We're in constant communication with BC Wildfire all the time with regards to all these fires. So that's definitely how those decisions are made. We had some questions about Safeguard being contracted with community protection in particular along the lakes and front communities. What I would highly suggest, depending on what fire you're looking for, I'm assuming it's White Rock Lake, but I don't know for certain. Definitely reaching out to the BC Wildfire Information Officer for that. Okay, for White Rock Lake, reach out to the BC Wildfire with regards to any information around structure protection and safeguards, and they'll be able to answer those questions. So right now what we're going to do is we are share a screen to show our current alerts and orders. Yeah, so we had another question. There are Quebec firefighters. There are additional supports due to arrive from other provinces, and I believe BC Wildfire did mention that too when they were on the call. Really great questions. Thank you for those. Again, if there's any questions prior to the meeting so that we can prepare, we have the public question form on our website that I would highly suggest. If you can think of any questions that you have specific to the fires for BC Wildfire, we also invite EMBC. We can include the Canadian Red Cross as well as TNRD. If you have those questions beforehand, it's definitely helpful so that we can either direct you to the right people, or we can address them in the meeting. So we link that every time we have one of these meetings. There's a question in the chat, when's the next meeting? We try to hold them every 2 to 3 days. So today is Tuesday. Our next meeting, depending on the situation, will likely be Friday. But if there's more information that we absolutely need to get out in a public meeting, we'll hold it earlier. We'll definitely send an email to the BC Lytton or BC Wildfire Information Officer, and we can potentially get them to provide more information or link it in the, we'll link the Fire of Note page once we post this meeting today. Really great questions, everyone. And I appreciate your patience as we get this information to you. It's definitely a moving and very busy time. So what I'm going to do is share our evacuation dashboard. I hope you can see my screen. This is the Thompson-Nicola Regional District's evacuation dashboard. What I would suggest, if you're wondering about a property that are your property or a property that you would like the status, whether they're on evacuation alert or order, please use this interactive dashboard. You're able to actually search an address. We show this every time, but we just want to really reiterate that this is a resource for the public to use. We did post a clarification today on our Facebook and our Twitter with regards to the West Side Road alert that was issued yesterday. There was some confusion. So I'm just actually going to show you on here where the confusion was. So just to clarify, the West Side Road address points that were issued with regards to the alert from Darfield to McClure and Sparks Lake due to the Sparks Lake wildfire were in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. They weren't in the city of Kamloops. And I'll show you what we mean. I'll just pull it up here. So when you type in an address, it'll populate, and then you also can type in your address point, but I'll just do the general West Side Road here. It'll come up once you click your address. We'll just do 4789. If you live here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. So the evacuation status alert, you can go zoom to, and you can keep clicking zoom to, and it'll bring you exactly to that address, and it will show the evacuation status right on the dashboard. So again, if you're wondering about your address, whether you're in the alert area, this works for any address within the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. Again, this will not show your status if you live within the city of Kamloops limits. This is specifically for Thompson-Nicola Regional District residents. So I hope that cleared up some confusion, if any. If you have any questions, feel free to message us on Facebook. You can also reach out to our EOC, which is posted on our website, the email address or the phone number. But yes, that's exactly how you find your address point on here if you're wondering. I'm going to move on. I see there's a couple chats. I'm just not in the chat right now, but I'm just going to go through the dashboard, and then we'll take a quick peek before we move on to the next topic. I'm going to zoom out. So I think BC Wildfire definitely provided a good update. We had some rain, which also, as Forrest said, it helps any fire situation. So definitely we were able to have some conversations with BC Wildfire today, and they're still ongoing. Definitely with regards to the Tremont Creek, Duran Lake fire here, Tremont Creek. So there are conversations for those of you on the line who are interested in the Cherry Creek area. So we are in conversations. It's currently on alert, as well as an order. We are looking at downgrading some of those orders to alert with regards to Cherry Creek. So keep referencing those areas, whether it be our website or your Voyant Alert. Thank you for those who've downloaded Voyant Alert. We'll be issuing it through Voyant Alert when we do decide to, or we've been recommended to downgrade, as well as our Facebook or Twitter. We use all these channels to communicate this information. So that's a little piece of information for those on the call today. At this moment, I don't believe it has been communicated out that it has been downgraded, but there's conversation about that. So just be aware and keep an eye out. We're hoping to get it out in the next few hours. But as you can see here, so we definitely have some still very active order areas. I can give you some information around the percentages of the TNRD currently impacted by BC wildfires is 25%. So 25% of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District has been impacted by BC wildfires at this time. We have approximately 4,419 properties impacted on alert, and then 1,484 properties on order. So if you're wondering of the numbers, that's what they are. You can also reference this evacuation dashboard by going onto our website, going to emergency services, and you'll find our evacuation dashboard on that link as of today. So that's definitely the update we're looking to post. Looking forward to post is a downgrade from order to alert for the Cherry Creek area. I do want to mention a couple other things as well. We have, there's a committee meeting being hosted today with this evening around 7 p.m. at the Westwold Community Center for those who have been impacted by the White Rock Lake fire with the communities of Monte Lake and Westwold. So that will be this evening with Chair Gillis, Ken Gillis, as well as Todd Stone, and our EOC staff will be there. Our Resiliency and Recovery Center will also be there providing information to evacuees and those impacted by the White Rock Lake fire. So if you're in that community, that will be happening this evening at 7. Our Resiliency Center also provides information with regards to insurance and coordinates a variety of non-governmental services. So even if you're not in that community, you still absolutely can reach out to our Resiliency and Recovery Center. That information is posted on our website. So I highly suggest you reach out to them. Again, they coordinate insurance advice, information services, and a number of non-governmental agencies. So you can email them as well as call them. So this is definitely our overview into our current status of the TNRD wildfires. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to check in the chat here of what's the questions that we've got. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be providing, making sure that our next meeting will have the Lytton complex. They're definitely absolutely, all of BC Wildfire is very busy right now. So whether we provide, the invite definitely goes out. However, we'll be having this meeting again in the next few days. But again, the Fire of Note page is definitely a good resource for you to go onto the BC Wildfire to get more information. As well, you can reach out to them directly. Yeah, so absolutely. Again, like I said, there's a lot of questions around getting more information more readily available. And you can absolutely reach out to our EOC, our BC Wildfire representatives, as well as tuning into the meetings, following our Facebook posts, our Twitter, and attending that. So this evening, the meeting, I should have mentioned that. Thanks for pointing that out. So the Westwold meeting this evening will not be available over Zoom. We will be recording the meeting, an audio recording. And for the residents of Westwold, Monte Lake, and those affected by the White Rock Lake fire, we'll be able to, we'll be reaching out via social media for you to connect with us. So if you're on here today, you feel free to send an email to emergency@tnrd.ca if you're looking for that recording proactively, and we can provide that to you after the meeting. We will be providing it directly to residents. Okay. Yeah, so for the attendee looking to contact representative for Lower Nikola for Lytton Fire, if you want to just send your email directly to me in the chat, and we can reach out to connect you with the right people. If you miss putting your information in the chat, feel free to call our EOC as well as send an email to emergency@tnrd.ca, and we'll be able to reach out to you for more information. So I hope that's helpful. Sorry for my pauses here. I just want to make sure I'm addressing some of these questions. Yeah, again, so I'll just keep mentioning, going on to the BC Wildfire Fires of Note, as well as their interactive dashboard, because again, they do have the fire perimeter on there. So I definitely recommending going on there. If you have any specific questions with regards to fire activity or firefighting efforts, structural protection, BC Wildfire can help you with that. Okay, so I think that's all for now. I'm just going to continue on. So resources for returning residents can be found on the TNRD website. We have that posted posted onto our TNRD website for those returning. This includes safety of returning into areas that have been affected by fire, propane safety. Our resiliency center is also posted on there. So we'll include this in the description once we post our video from today on our YouTube, so you have that information. So our TNRD EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, continues to operate 7 days a week. Hours are approximately 8:30 to 8 p.m. However, this is subject to change depending on what's going on in the day. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 8. So calling our EOC line, again, we'll post the contact information with this video, or emailing us is the best way to get in contact with somebody in the EOC. Again, thank you to all residents who've downloaded or signed up for the Voint Alert app. We've definitely had a lot of uptake on the system. For those of you who've been on it and experiencing some slowness loading for some of the alerts, we're definitely it's a moving situation, and as we have a lot of volume right now, especially when last week, that's definitely what happened, but we're working with our Voint Alert system to ensure that it's a little bit quicker and getting you that information. So please continue using it. We're making updates on a daily basis and making sure we're always putting our new alerts and our orders, our downgrades, and any information through the Voint Alert system. So please, if you haven't signed up for that, get onto our TNRD webpage and sign up. Next up, so again, I've mentioned earlier that our intention is to hold these meetings on a regular basis and provide as much information as we can with regards to wildfires in the TNRD. So I know there's a little bit of comments with regards to not having enough information today. So that's definitely a great feedback, and we'll ensure that we have as much information as we can. We hold these on a regular basis, so this is definitely not our last one. We'll have another one in the next few days. But again, we're going to link all these resources to the video because this is not your only channel of information. We have information on our TNRD website. We update on our Facebook, our Twitter. BC Wildfire also posts on their webpage with regards to fires of note. There's interactive dashboards with BC Wildfire as well as TNRD. So that definitely, I'm hoping that's helpful, and we will definitely ensure that we have all representation on the next call. So we reminded you about our TNRD interactive dashboard. If you're wondering about an address point, please go on and use that. For road closures, again, referencing Drive BC, and any further information will continue to be provided through our website. Social media, we are in conversation with news and media outlets to provide as much information to get that information out to the public. And that's really all I have for today. I'm just going to take a peek at the chat here to see if there's any other questions. So there's some questions around Monte Lake and Paxton still an evacuation order. Those residents can't give any information at the meeting regarding their needs going forward. Will there be another meeting? So if you want to actually provide, if there's a specific question, if you can provide your contact to me directly in the chat, or reach out to our emergency@tnrd.ca email, or give us a call at our EOC, we can definitely help you with regards to information of what's next and moving forward for the Monte Lake residents. But definitely there's a meeting this evening at 7 at the Westwold Community Center. Sorry, Community Hall, I believe, for more information. It will be recorded, so if you're interested in, if you're a resident of those communities impacted by the White Rock Lake Fire and you're interested in receiving that recording, please reach out to us and we'll be able to provide that to you. But we'll also be posting on social media with the contacts of how to reach that recording. Okay. Just going to take another look at the chat here. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Again, if there's any specific questions that you're wondering, please feel free to reach out to emergency@tnrd.ca or contacting our EOC line. Again, we're operating 7 days a week. from 8:30, hours subject to change, so from 8:30 to approximately 8. But again, this depends on the day. So if you can have your calls or communications earlier in the day, that's great. But again, reaching out to us, we are trying our hardest to respond in a timely manner. All right, I really thank everybody for attending today. We'll be arranging another public information in the coming days. I did say Friday earlier, but we can even shoot for Thursday if that's what the need is. So please reference our Facebook, our Twitter, as well as our press releases, our register for your Voyant alert, and please check your subscribe to our YouTube channel, because you can also get notifications of when these videos are posted, so you don't have to check back regularly. It will notify you. So thank you everyone for who's attended today. If you have another question, feel free to pop it in the chat. But if not, that concludes the meeting, and we'll be posting this recorded video shortly. I'll just take my video off, but I'll keep an eye on the chat for another minute. So thank you all for attending today. Stay safe.